Hello, hello, wonderful yogis. Happy spring. I hope you're finding plenty of things to inspire you, and particularly this week, I'm emphasizing putting your face in a flower. So if you haven't actually gotten up close yet, you can run outside and get one and put it on your mat right under where your nose will land, perhaps when you do chaturanga. Put them in a vase on your table, have them by your bedside. I actually like picking a single sprig and having it on my windowsill in front of my sink where I do my dishes. So I get to just have a whole meditative experience with that flower, or actually a fern is one of my favorite forms to just stare on and delight in. So we're working our bodies this week to get them gardening ready or yard work ready, or of course just always these same things are good for recovering from sitting too much, repetitive computer work or TV watching or whatever. We're also wanting to work on some of the repetitive stress parts of our bodies, so that when we go out and we do some yard work and stuff, that we aren't taking on too much harm into those tendons and muscles and so on. So we're gonna do some good stretches, doing some good flow today. Got a couple of rounds of Warrior Series with some little add-ons to really ignite the side, core, and body, and to open up hips and so on. So I hope you'll really enjoy it. As always, edit out the parts that just aren't right for your body today. Maybe you're coming into this with sore wrists or hips or something. Please care for those parts, right? I always try to say this practice is different than any other, and it's not a steady progression. So if there's something today that just doesn't feel right, you can come back and do this again as many times as you'd like. And I'm really glad that we get to be together. I want to start us off in just one of the best shapes I know for unwinding the kind of repetitive shaping of our spine that way when we're hunched over stuff and so on, which is the reclining over the rolled up blanket or beach towel or a block. I often find the block feels too high if I'm already kind of tight. So I like to place a rolled up object like this blanket here, this throw, right under the bra strap area, so just south of the wingtips of the shoulder blades. And then let yourself get good with gravity, right? This wonderful earth that's beneath us, that's producing daffodils and ferns and shoots of green grass. It always feels like such a miracle. So let us really try to sink into all of that new, beautiful vitality. Let's begin with a few sighing breaths. Inhaling slow, deep, and wide through the nose. And again. And this is a good moment to just pause and notice, what has your energy been like? Have you felt like really in a good groove? Have you felt depleted? Have you felt itchy or antsy? I think yoga always is a great tool for helping us with energy management, as I think of it. Trying to find a place where we're awake and grateful and contented, where we've got the right amount of energy for stuff that we want to give our attention to, but that we're not kind of caffeinated and hyperdrive. So just evaluate a moment, what has your movement in the world been like? And if you're doing gardening and yard clearing, are you doing it as its own beautiful meditation and experience with breath and nature? Or are you thinking thoughts like, I've really got to get this done, and then I've got to get that, and then I've got to get that? Can we adjust how we're doing these things so that they really are just pure goodness for our bodies and our beings? Please turn your gaze up and in towards the center of the forehead. Lightly connect the end of the tongue at the roof of the mouth behind the front teeth. This says, I'm awake. I'm here in my practice. And the softening of the rest of the tongue and jaw, and particularly the base of the skull, says, I'm not striving. This is my yoga. There's nothing to accomplish. It is just what it is, and it's going to be breath fueled. I like the mantra, this moment, this body, this breath. It's all that exists. Invitation to add your ujjayi, that slight throat contraction, so that the breath passes through with the mouth closed, but making a nice whooshing sound of wind in the pines or ocean waves. I often use ujjayi as my favorite tool for coming present with this moment, with this body, with this breath. In other words, my mind will wander off. And when I notice that it does, ujjayi is usually what I use to come back home. As you're continuing with ujjayi, please begin to notice the active breath, inhale and exhale, and then the beautiful treasure of the pause, the gap between, the non-breath. Continuing. I have a wonderful piece of music to share with you today during Shavasana that actually reminds me of this pause or gap that we're seeking. You'll hear a wonderful instrument called hand pan with some bass added along with it. And there's this wonderful kind of ringing tone of the hand pan, and there's also this sort of pause before the next cycle. And I hope it will help transport you and really get a deeper sense of the importance of spaciousness between the notes. And when you do choose to come off this object of support, you're going to roll a little to one side. If you're still comfortable here for a moment, I'm going to invite us to reach one arm up over the head, so to the sky and then to the wall behind, to start working out some of the repetitive shape of the chest and shoulders. So you might pulse the upper arm towards the ear and away. You can even do a circle across the body, really whatever feels good. And then returning that arm and exploring the other. There's nothing wrong with putting both arms overhead at the same time. That just gives you a supported back bend. It, however, isn't going to give you the same kind of shoulder range of motion assistance that I'm trying to give us here. And breathing into it, when you are complete, return the arms to neutral and come off your object of support. We're going to come back onto our back body just flat and enjoy for a moment noticing, again, giving into the earth. Now you're in full contact with it, nothing to keep you from sinking. Please come into just a few rounds of compression and expansion. So on the exhale, firmly pressing the abdomen towards the spine, anchoring into the floor, emptying until there's nothing left, softening, allowing yourself to be breathed. Is there a gap? Exhaling, emptying, squeezing. This is a great time to roll the head side to side, to train a softening and release in those I've gotta muscles where the neck and skull join. When there's simply no exhale left, breathing in. One last time. Is there more? Is there more? When you release for your inhale, reach both arms overhead now and just begin organically rolling wrists and ankles. You can flex the hands and the feet and point and flex and point.
Oh, you can clasp one wrist if you'd like, and then the other. And then as you're ready, please gather that right knee into the belly for release wind pose. Both heels are flexed firmly, reaching away from each other, shoulder heads anchored. And you can add any little bits of pulsing or movement that feel good. Otherwise, big inhale. Exhale, power down through the belly and back again. And if you'd like, adding a sit-up motion. Inhaling, releasing. Is there more? Exhaling, emptying. Maybe with a sit-up. Keep extending firmly through that left thigh and foot. And last time with this right knee. And as you're ready, switch. Inhale. Slow, deep, and wide. Let the abdomen meet the thigh. Exhale. Thigh comes to abdomen, emptying. Maybe adding a sit-up motion. Inhaling, releasing. So noticing if this is bothering your neck in any way, keep the sit-up portion out of it. We really want to take care of our neck. We tend to be kind of oblivious to how much stress it takes on unnecessarily. In fact, if we're pulling weeds or what have you, are we doing it from our core or from our neck shoulder area? And release those legs. Good. You might windshield wiper. You can also flex through the heels and actively rotate the toes in. This gives a nice stretch down the outside of the hips, and then actively rotate out, getting into the thighs. We're going to take our arms in kind of a goalpost position. I've got my elbows straight out from the shoulders, my hands straight up from there, splayed towards the sky. And I want to make sure that my shoulder heads are anchored down the back. Big inhale, slow, deep, and wide. Exhale, activate your core, and then power down with the upper arms into the floor. And I'm hoping as you hold through that exhale, squeezing, you feel effort between the shoulder blades. Inhaling, relax. Is there more? Exhaling, core. Anchoring upper arms down into the floor. Check that the neck is not doing the work. If you feel anything happening in your trapezius muscle, you're probably shrugging. Bring those shoulder heads down. One more time, inhaling, softening. Exhaling, anchoring, pushing down through the upper arms. Now, in the past, sometimes I've had us do goalposts with the forearms also on the floor. And you might give that a try here in one more round. But if you feel any kind of like stress in the elbow, forearm area, kind of some of that tennis elbow stuff, then I would stick with the other alignment. All right, and relax that out. We're going to place the feet for bridge pose, directly beneath the knees, shoulder heads anchor under, finding your preferred arm position. Big inhale, slow, deep, and wide. Is there more? Exhale, press the hips up. Send the knees away from you, the heart up and back towards the chin. If you'd like to add yoga mudra, intertwining the fingers behind the back, this is a good chance. And if that just creates stress in your breathing or your neck, then come back down to either arms flat, palms to the sky, or just the upper arms anchoring, which is often one of my favorite positions. On your exhale, please come down as slowly as you can. This is great. It's waking up that posterior chain, the back thigh, the butt cheeks, and we really need them to be strong. Let's come up again, hands on the hip bones, big inhale. Exhaling, press up. So again, really using that posterior chain, work the shoulder heads beneath you. Make sure the feet aren't too far apart so that as you slowly extend one leg at a time, you're not feeling a collapse in the hips. There might be a little bit of a drop, and that's your chance to notice and see if you can talk to the muscles of the standing leg, the thigh, the butt, get them to power up that other hip. And I love noticing as I go back and forth, breathing, that I generally get stronger and more stable across that pelvis and especially into the low back, SI joints area. Go ahead and slowly come on down, knees to belly. So, we tend to think of core strength as just like, oh, the muscles you use during a sit-up. But we know that actually butt and thighs are a massive part of how strong we are, how much pressure we can apply, how heavy a wheelbarrow we can push up a hill. So we really want to make sure that this whole area around the hip girdle, butt and thigh strength is there to hold us. So we're going to add on to that with robot. Beginning with the feet flexed, knees into the belly. Take a big inhale. Exhale, power down through the back so you feel complete contact, like you're pushing down a scale there. Then begin to send the knees away from you until they're directly over the hips. Add the arms, reaching towards the sky, shoulder heads anchored. And we've got hopefully a nice 90-degree angle at the hip and at the knee joint. When you are ready, I'd like you to only move the legs so that we can check that we're really in a good position and not going too far. So big inhale, exhale, power down, and slowly take one heel towards the floor. Maybe it's a few inches, maybe we're touching down. Pause, inhale, in flight. If you can't keep that back rooted, you've gone too far. Other side, big inhale here in neutral, and I'll sometimes roll out my wrists and ankles in between. Exhale and reflex and take the other heel towards the floor. Pause, big inhale, both rooting into the floor and expanding the belly towards the sky. Exhale, come on back. Good, and take a little break. So if that felt great and you can coordinate and you're wanting to check that you're not moving your other knee towards you as you take your opposite heel towards the floor. So everything is staying frozen. Same thing now with the arms. If you want to add them, only moving one arm. So big inhale, exhale, power down through the back and take one heel and opposite hand in opposite directions. The hand is reaching for the wall behind. Pause in flight for a big inhale. Exhale, come on back. If you can't breathe in neutral or in that in flight, then you're just trying to do too much. Big inhale here. Exhale, other hand and foot. So you might only go just a few inches and practice breathing there. Exhaling, come on back. Good, let's do one more each side. Long inhale. Is there more? You can relax the core there if you want for a moment while breathing in. Exhale, power down, opposite hand and opposite foot. Pausing, deep inhalation, maybe a soft smile, because you get to celebrate how powerful you are. Come on back. Big inhale. Exhale, last side. And because when we smile, actually, it really changes our energy, our body chemistry, and come on back. And we're less likely to take on tension in our neck and clenching our jaw and other things that really take the fun out of yoga or gardening or yard work. All right. So I want to just bring us briefly into a twist. And if you're pretty sore and tight, you'll, of course, want to just start on your side in embryo pose. But otherwise, I'm just going to ask you to connect your core, your belly towards your spine, and then just go slowly from side to side. Just really opening up the side body, breathing. I've got my arms in a T. My thighs are staying active and connected. And you can breathe in coordination however you'd like with these poses. Generally, I exhale on the way back because that's where I'm contracting the core the most. One more. If it feels good while you're in the twist, briefly extend the leg, go for it. You might even be able to connect your hand to the calf. Ooh, I got a nice little clunk in my lower spine from that. Yay. I like to think of yoga as a massage that we give ourselves. I know it's nice to have somebody else do it, but this is a pretty good way to keep our body going and happy. All right, so we're going to come on up to seated here, and I want to first this can be done laying down too, by the way, but it's really wonderful to do what I call kind of a windshield wiper. And so you're taking your feet out wide beyond the edges of the mat. Again, you could do this laying down as well. And you're just dropping one knee towards the center line if you want to release the arm and reach as well. Again, it's the same laying down. This is a nice way to release some of that inner and outer rotation tensions that might be being held in the hips and thighs. And then come on back, please. We're going to do crab pose or reverse table. We're sitting on our butt. We've got our feet planted. And we're going to have our hands flat to the floor with the fingertips facing the butt. Shoulder heads anchor down and back. Good. Get that nice, intelligent hand position. Fingers spread wide. And when we come up, I'm going to be asking you to imagine that you're rotating your hands, but you're not actually moving them. Your hands do not move. You just get a good muscular engagement and stretch. Big inhale. Exhale. Come on up with the butt as high as you can. And then imagine you want to rotate your hands outward. Good. Feel that stretch. Release. Give it a little love, maybe rotating. And in this pose, you might have noticed I'm keeping my head, neck tucked or chin tucked. You can drop it back, but again, for some people that creates some neck stress. So when you're ready, one more round, place the hands, big inhale. Exhale, press on up. Imagine that you're rotating the hands, pressing up, rotating, pressing, and release. Lovely. Give them another love up. So as you know, if your wrists ever get stressed, then you want to go on to fists, or you take a break, or you just don't do as many rounds. But in the long run, yoga is great for our wrists. So coming into your table pose, we're going to come into a little cow-cat, and we'll be taking it to downward dog and dog series from here. So intelligent hands right beneath the shoulders. You can check such that if you push your knees off the floor, you should feel the weight in the full circle of the palm. Inhale, draw the heart forward, cow pose. Shoulder heads anchoring down towards the hips. Is there more? Exhale, tuck the tailbone, letting the head hang, stretching that area between the blades, feeling that powerful core drawing you upward, so that the next time you go to your cat pose, it feels just really natural to turn the toes under, and then with that core, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Drishti gaze between the feet. Let's find a nice deep breath here. It could even be a sighing breath if you sense, yeah, I've just been tight and carrying a lot of tension. Good. Invitation for dog series. You can, of course, also do some portion or take a resting pose now. Inhaling to your plank, knees or feet. I always drop to knees my first round. Exhaling, chaturanga, elbows are in. And remember, I want my head to arrive before my hips, like I'm trying to kiss the floor. Release to the belly for cobra. Anchor the pelvis. Draw the heart forward. If you'd like a neck stretch, briefly reach the chin up and back. Exhaling, press back, downward facing dog. So as you know, I don't really recommend repetitive reaching of the chin up or dropping of the head back. But now and then it can be a wonderful little stretch. Good. So one more breath here. Anchor through the hands, particularly the pad of the thumb. Send those hips up and back. Work the heels towards the floor. Maybe you're pedaling or just working both legs down. Good. We're going to slowly walk the hands back to the feet. As slowly as you can, so with each movement of the hand, you're pushing through the shoulder joint. Ragdoll. You might shift the weight a little left and right. Say hello to those amazing hamstrings. They take on a lot of tension. And when you're ready, please root and rise. Marvelous. So I'm in prayer hands already, and in order to get a nice alternate stretch for the gripping muscles of the forearms, I'm going to reverse that prayer hand. So when people do this, I often see all the shoulders shrug up and rise. So if that's happening in your body, anchor the shoulders, bring the hands together down here, and then just slowly come up as far as you can to get that stretch. Nice breath. When the body receives breath, it invites all the muscles to soften and to receive the stretch. And then taking the palms away from one another, but keeping the fingers touching. Feel that deep stretch into the hand. And release. Nice. And inviting you to just
You're going to take some time with some nice side body stretching. We're going to do some good work with that in warrior. So just taking one arm up and over. And you don't need to go very far to feel that good stretch, and you don't want to go, super far. There's no goal to getting farther, and in fact, a lot of times you can't really breathe there, and the body goes into protection. Nice. And let's just take them out behind and across. And do that on the other side. So, anytime you're just standing around, hanging out, having a conversation, watching a thing, you can do some of this range of motion stuff. It feels really good. Clasping the hands in front. We're going to take ourselves into kind of a little cat back here. Oh. Nice. And then just check in with your neck. Give it a little collar and see if it would appreciate any releasing with the hand support. So we're going to come into our train tracks, and part of what we're going to do today is add on a tricep exercise. That's this muscle right at the back of the arm, which helps then balance out the repetitive use of the bicep. So anytime you're carrying something with the arm bent, this guy's working, and what we want is to train this guy to really get active. So we're going to start off first in mountain. We'd like our feet maybe 4 to 6 inches apart, I guess about 6. And I'm going to engage my palms, kind of flex them, and push down like I'm trying to push something into the earth away from the crown of my head. And just doing that, I can feel this arm ignite. If you're having a hard time, you might have to kind of imagine you're like chopping something. Kind of bend it and then straighten it. So we'll play with that in our train tracks. Hands on hips first. Enjoy a long inhale. Exhaling, step back with your right foot, pause, and imagine you'd like to set that heel in the train track. Look underneath and see if you were successful. Most of us will need to adjust the heel outward a little, maybe a lot. Pause, come upright, and notice if you are feeling any kind of stretch. And if not, try scooching your front foot further forward, anchoring deeply through the inner foot. So look at your foot and notice if it's peeling away, and if so, root in firmly. Add the pressing through the hands, reaching forward and up through the heart, back through your back thigh and heel. Deep breath. Again, you can kind of bend the elbow and reflex, and return the hands to the hips and come on back. Good. Let's find the other side. Step back with the left foot. Place the heel down into the train track. Look underneath to check it. Adjust it. Return upright. Notice what's happening in that front foot and leg. See if you want to deepen the stretch by scooching the front foot forward and a powerful anchoring through the pad of the big toe. Big inhale. Exhale. Find your tricep activation and breathe. So to be clear, I want my heart reaching upward, but I'm not trying to arch it forward. I want to be right in my core body, belly and rib cage to spine, while reaching up through the heart and the crown. One more deep breath and flex those triceps. And return. Nice. So another great stretch for the wrists. Great if it feels good to you. If you've got like some carpal tunnel or something going on right now, then it might not feel good in the long run. This actually really helps create healthy wrists. So to get there, you're going to come into a nice ragdoll. Should feel good after train tracks. And you want to lift your foot and place one hand and then the other under the feet such that the big toe is all the way up by the wrist crease. And then you should be able to look at your big toes. And you notice I'm in a deep bend here. My belly is on my thighs. Go ahead and curl your big toes downward. And you can actually give yourself a nice massage into the pad of the thumb. It's kind of fun to play with. But then we're going to get the wrist stretch by kind of tractioning. So let the head relax. Take a nice big inhale. Exhale, belly to spine. And this is important because I don't want this pulling on your low back. Belly to spine, trying to
press the hips to the sky as you press down through the feet and feeling that stretch. You might inhale and relax. You can come into a little extension if you like. And exhaling, engage. When you're ready, you'll come on off, unfurl those wrists, and give them a little bit of a rotation, or as I say, play piano badly. It's a great way to kind of work out stored tension. And of course, any massaging that you want to do through these gripping hands. Again, if you've been pulling weeds or anything like that, you might be really feeling that. So don't overdo some of the work we're doing today. I intentionally do not have us doing a bunch of sun salutations. We're doing more warrior so that we're not putting a ton of effort onto those hands, but lots of opportunity for core wake up. We're going to be coming into our first warrior flow from mountain. If you want to come from dog and get more of that in, you certainly can. Otherwise, I'll be offering some dog series in between, and you can sub that out for a child's pose or whatever you'd like. All right. So coming into our first warrior, I'm going to start with my hands in prayer. And I want to just take a moment to notice the connection of palm to palm, setting my drishti gaze out over those middle fingers. Nice soft connection of the tip of the tongue. Ujjayi. Shoulder heads anchoring, neck liberated, maybe a smile. And then I'm going to bend the knees and push the earth away, a little athletic stance. Inhaling, lift the left knee, standing crane. Feel those inner thighs wanting to connect, and keep that engagement as you step back to your crescent lunge. Pause. Steer right hip bone back, left hip bone forward, and your choice of arms, but I'm going to come back into those goalposts, and we're going to use whatever arm position we're in, but we're going to specifically use our core to do the rotation. So big inhale, deepen your lunge. Exhale, rotate to your right. Have it start with the belly drawing towards the spine. So the arms are actually just following along. Inhale, give it room. You can come all the way back to center or just a little way. Exhale, big rotation to the right. Squeezing, wringing that rag. One more. Check that your elbows didn't slide down. Exhale, rotate from the waist all the way up into the ribs. Beautiful. Inhale back to center. If you want to add a little heart lift, you can. Exhale, transition Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, deepen into your best lunge. Remember, you can keep scooching that front foot forward. Good. We're going to do a little rotation this way. So take a nice long inhale. Make sure that this knee does not follow along as you exhale, and take your right arm to reach it as far back into the left as you can, away from that right knee. I used to say kind of as if you were going to bring the hands together, but then people do funny things. So inhale, return, maybe platter hands. Exhale, rotate, reach that right hand back towards kind of the back corner of your mat there, away from your right knee. One more time. Notice if your knee is moving. Keep thinking about externally rotating the thighs. Last one. And return. Inhale, straighten that front leg, reach up through that right arm, maybe counter reach through the left hand. You can always add little wrist rolls and love ups. Otherwise, deep breath into that side body. Good. And exhaling, flowing forward, lateral stretch. Elbow to thigh is a starting point. Shoulder heads activate down the back. Good, and you can always add that partial bind if you'd like. Otherwise, we call this lateral stretch or side angle stretch because it is such an opportunity to stretch all along that upper side of the body. If you want to go deeper and that's appropriate in your body, go for it. Take the hand further down, maybe even to a block. And exhaling, release. Plant the hands. We're going to step back to downward dog, but I invite you to pause here for a deep inhale. Exhale, think cat back, belly to spine, and try to lift that front foot before stepping it back. I call it reduce the swoosh, so instead of dragging it. Inhale here, exhale, commit to your dog, And if you're joining me in flow, as you inhale forward to your plank pose, again, think about sending those heels back, belly to spine. Maybe dropping to knees. Exhale, chaturanga. Chest precedes the hips. Settling either for cobra, hips on the floor, or upward dog, feet on the floor. Exhaling, downward facing dog. And you could jump forward or get that shoulder work again of pushing one hand at a time, pushing, coming to your forward fold or ragdoll at the back of the mat. Find your journey to the front, preparing for our mountain pose and moving into standing crane. I like adding standing crane to warrior flow because I think it gives such a nice opportunity to practice our balance and where our feet are rooting and so on. Go ahead and push the earth away and lift that right knee into standing crane. Yoga toes peeling back away from the ball of the foot, shoulder heads anchored, and a nice controlled extension back into your crescent lunge. Right hip bone forward, left hip bone back. Nice core connection. And coming into your goalposts, or if you prefer a different arm position. One long inhale. Exhale, starting that contraction low down in the abdomen, ringing the rag, rotating left. Inhale, give it room. Exhaling, rotating left. Remember that right hip bone's drawing forward. That's going to help you. Left hip bone drawing back. One more. Inhaling, returning center, perhaps extending into a little back bend. Exhaling, transitioning Virabhadrasana 2. Nice long inhale, steady the breath. If we're doing it right, it's a hard workout. Gets it raised up a little bit. Exhale, rotating, reaching that front arm back and to your right. Returning, opening platter hands. Make sure that knee's not moving. Exhaling, rotating and reaching that left hand or arm back and to your right. What we're trying to feel is this work in the waistline, the ribs. Inhaling, straighten the leg, reach up. Make sure those thigh muscles are squeezing towards the bone, taking the head and neck wherever it finds the greatest ease, and then moving to your lateral stretch or side angle pose. Again, you could work with a partial bind if you enjoy that. My side body often needs the stretch. In fact, today I can feel this all the way down into my right hip bone, kind of psoas area. Enjoying another long inhalation. Make sure your lower rib cage is rising to the right, to the upper. And exhale, rotate out. Prepare for movement to your dog. Big inhale. Shift back here. Exhale, belly to spine. Hiya. Lift that foot. Inhale, exhale, sigh. Again, opportunity to move into dog series. You could also take a moment in child's pose and really let that flow settle and see what it has given you. You could also hold in downward dog. Some people find this to be a really beautiful kind of intermediate pose between flows, a place to settle the mind and the breath, but where you're still in a fair bit of effort. And when you are complete, we're going to return for a warrior flow. Again, I'm going to start us from the front of the mat, but you of course can come into it any way that you would like. Actually I want to do one other pose here beforehand, and then we'll take it into our warrior. So this is something we played with a lot on Monday, and I showed how to do it with a strap and so on. We're doing definitely a pared down version here
If you need to go back and check that out, go for it. So please go ahead and clasp your right knee, shoulder heads anchored, and just see if you can bring it firmly up into your chest. Now when we do this, we want the standing leg to be pushing the earth away. It's a lot of work. You're rooting and reaching, and you're providing your own level of challenge here. It's not just gravity that you're having to root and reach against. It's all your own tension in the thighs. So make sure you're activating that standing quad. Good. One more long breath, pushing the earth away, belly to spine, and then relax. Let's try the other side. So if we're doing this right, I'm wearing out your legs a little bit, and you'll feel it in the next warrior pose, warrior flow. Good. Left knee into the belly, chest opening, shoulder heads anchored, neck is soft. Maybe you're smiling, thinking about how much you love yoga and how much we love doing yoga together. I really do. Good. Pushing through that standing thigh. Of course, this is a balancing pose. So if you're having a hard time maintaining balance enough to get the stretch, go ahead and do it against a wall or a cupboard or whatever. So next layer, opportunity, add-on. You always go back to the place you could be in integrity, right? So the add-on is bring that right knee up, get that left leg straight, then bring that right knee out to the side, and make sure you haven't cocked that left hip. I'm still basically straight up and down, okay? If I feel that I can extend the arm, it's a nice counterbalance. And then I'm gonna just see, can I extend this leg a little bit? And here's how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna slide my middle and index finger through between my big and second toe. And if you can't do that, you're using a strap. And again, I show how to do that, or you're just hanging out in the previous pose, which is awesome. And then I'm gonna slowly just play with seeing if I can extend this leg. But keep in mind, what's most important here is that my knee is coming back. I'm not coming to here. So I want to be absolutely upright in the body, and my knee is continuing to come back. My thigh is continuing to come towards me. And then and only then, if I can raise the foot a little bit, I go for it, right? Maybe you can extend it fully. Whew, not quite for me today. It's a heck of a hamstring stretch. And it's good, even if you can't do the full extension, as long as you're not sacrificing that basic alignment that I'm talking through. Let's try the other side. Left knee in, push the earth away. Again, if I'm here, I'm missing something. This is not the pose. You should feel almost military, if you will. Taking the left knee out, maybe using that right arm to counterbalance. Sliding the middle and index finger through between big and second toe, and reestablishing upright. Now you can even just take that other arm upright too. Depends on just what feels, again, supportive. And when you're ready, rooting and reaching, keeping that knee back towards you, begin to try and raise the shin bone. And if you feel that you can, you begin to try and straighten the leg. Pushing, rooting, and reaching. And when you're ready, come on up. Good, let's take a brief fold. So nice little ragdoll, take a couple breaths. This would be a good time to get a sip of water. So we're gonna do a nice little warrior flow here that'll hopefully just keep that heartbeat kind of humming along. Isn't it amazing how much energy we expend when we're really rooting and reaching, because we're using so many muscles that have to be oxygenated. So please make sure in each posture that you are breathing, because then otherwise we're not doing yoga, right? We're doing some sort of striving and we're not interested. So I'm going to begin again from standing crane, but if you would like, instead you would go to downward dog and take your right leg flying. Otherwise here, standing crane, push the earth away, left knee lifting. Slow and deepen the breath. Nice core support, reaching back. Again, either crescent lunge, or if you prefer here, warrior one with the feet flat. Reaching up through the arms and inviting you to just notice what it feels like to reach one arm up and one arm down and switch. So again, just feeling the elongation through the side body that we're kind of working here today. You can be in prayer hands or be working yoga mudra. I like doing that in this pose as well. And then as you are ready, maybe a little back bend, otherwise just last inhale. Exhale, open Virabhadrasana 2. Maybe platter hands. I like sometimes moving and rotating the head. Really helps liberate the spine. See if you can get the hips a little lower towards that front heel. The whole while, this back leg is pushing back. Good. And if you'd like an extra little bit of thigh challenge, keep that knee bent. Inhale, reaching up. I see a deer. Yay, I wish I could share that with you. Hopefully you're getting to see somewhere you are. What a marvel. And now we're going to go to triangle pose. So you're going to straighten that front leg and begin to make your journey into triangle. I like to keep my free hand, if you will, my left hand on my hip to stabilize, to remind me to stay open, to not curl forward towards the mat. Good. And you know, you want to check all along. What is it like to breathe here? Maybe this is a good edge. We should feel that that kind of inner thigh groin area is able to let go a little bit. If not, we're going too far or we're not breathing. If you'd like to add more challenge, you can add that top arm. And some people even enjoy reaching it forward. I love it for like a moment. And then if I stay there, I can feel that things kind of grip and tighten, which is not what we're wanting. All right, so coming back up. And when you're ready, join me. We're going to plant the hands on the floor. We're not releasing out though yet. Come on down, hands to floor. And I want you to walk your right foot further to the right edge of the mat. And you're going to take your hands inside. I'm going to switch back a little bit. And by the way, you really need this knee over the heel. So it cannot be here. It's got to be directly beneath. And if this is all too much, by the way, then you would be doing, you know, some sort of version with us up here or holding on to something. Or using a block under your hands. Otherwise, hands are on the floor. If you need to do knee down, do. Otherwise, you're powering that left thigh towards the sky. And we're going to imagine there's that wonderful flower beneath our nose. Maybe you actually got one. Take a big breath in, shoulder heads down the back, and just like in Chaturanga, I want my face to go before my hips. So I'm going to imagine I'm trying to kiss the flower, and this is helping press my knee back, just like I was trying to do in that standing pose a little while ago, right? So similar kind of stretch. If you're able to come down onto your left forearm, go for it. Some of you might be able to come onto the right forearm as well. I can, but I can't relax there. And that's just not useful, so I'm coming back up. And when you are ready to release, nice simple way is just drop the knee, kind of come on out, release that leg. You can also do a more engaged release back. All right. And we're going to take a moment and just breathe. Maybe it's in dog, maybe it's in child's pose. We're going to be coming into pigeon from here. So I'm going to take that right knee. When you're ready, do not rush. You could also roll to your back body for a reclined pigeon. Otherwise, right knee behind the right wrist. And come on down. Deep breath into that right hip. Remember to support the head, whether it's stacked fists or the block or what have you. Maybe it's on the floor. And then we also have the option of a little tractioning here. If you can, you're going to curl your back foot underneath, press your thigh to the sky, and then see what it would feel like to squeeze with your right leg as if you were trying to pull the front of the mat back. And this is going to really work that thigh and butt. Good. And if you feel able to do so, you have a little add-on here. Otherwise, again, you're doing whatever version works for you. You're going to come on up and just see if you can release the hands into kind of a jet airplane while tractioning there. And coming slowly on down. Nice big breath as you let it all soften. And again, you can kind of come out to a more active movement of dog with leg flying, or simply scooch that left foot forward and kind of kick out that back leg and give it a break. Good. We're going to come into our flow on the other side. So again, if you're starting with downward dog, it's downward dog, left leg flying. Otherwise, if you would like to come with me to the front of the mat, we're going to come on in from our standing crane, right knee lifted. Nice long inhalation, steady the breath, inside of the effort. Using Ujjayi or whatever your preferred point of focus is, and a slow journey back. Again, maybe a crescent lunge, or if you prefer it, back foot flat, warrior one. And again, finding your arm version today, but if you're enjoying the kind of opening and activation of the side body, join me in alternating one arm up at a time. When I've got my right leg back like I do and my right arm up, again, I can actually feel a stretch into the front kind of the right hip. You might not be tight enough to feel that, but I'm feeling it. And perhaps adding a little back bend and opening warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. And pulsing, checking it out. How far forward and down can your hips go towards that front heel? Soft tongue, maybe platter hands, maybe rotating and working the spine. It's also kind of a fun balance challenge to look, around the room and out behind you. Good. Now see if your front thigh feels like it can hang on a little longer. Inhale, reach up through that left arm. Again, I'm looking down at the floor for ease on my neck. Big inhale. Then I'm going to straighten that front leg, preparing for warrior. I'm keeping my right hand on my right hip, checking that my spine is long, my head reaching away from my back foot as I move down into my triangle. And super important, remember, is that this left hip is staying towards the right edge of the mat. Maybe I'm adding that right arm to the sky. And again, briefly, I might really enjoy reaching that arm overhead. Always coming straight up to the ceiling or sky with our torso versus thinking about moving back. Lovely. And then we're going to rotate. We're going to work that left foot out to the left edge of the mat. Plant the hands. Again, any amendments that you want to make, knee down or whatever. Otherwise, kiss the flower, kiss the earth. Power in that back thigh. Belly to spine. Huh. If you're not breathing, you're not doing this right. This should require vital, big breath to allow you to be this strong. To let that left knee be pressed towards the sky as you bring your hips down a little bit. And coming onto your right forearm, you'll feel that deepen. Maybe you come down to your left as well. Same thing for me on this side. My body goes into protection, so I'm returning. In fact, I think I liked it better on both hands. Just using kind of a miniature push-up motion to pulse that left hip. And when you feel complete, come on out again. However you want to shake, love up that leg, even the back one, and then coming into your pigeon. So left knee coming behind the left wrist and settling. So what's your version look like? What is your breath texture like? See if you can begin to even it out. And if appropriate, the add-on is the power in that back leg, anchoring the thigh towards the sky. I'm going to come onto my hands, but again, I'm staying low. I don't want to crimp my lower back, right? So I'm low, elbows in, shoulders down, and I'm going to begin tractioning. If you, so anything doesn't feel right, you just make little adjustments. And then slowly walking those hands back,
And seeing if you can release those arms into jet airplane. And you might be quite low in the pose, just depends. And maybe you can't even get the hands off the floor, but just trying is going to give you really good work into that hip and thigh area and glute. All right, and then come back down for a moment of total release here. So we're going to be releasing to bow pose on our belly, or if you're wanting to do the standing quad stretch, then you would take time to come up to standing. Totally up to you. So I'm actually just going to release right out like so, but however you need to get out, you might go to table and give that leg a kick. One thing that can be really nice is another little windshield wiper here. So if you just rest on the side of your head and make sure to anchor the pelvis before bending the knees, and then very gently, slowly, because this is a lot of weight that you're throwing around, take your lower leg and just sort of windshield wiper left and right. Good, and then we're going to want to be very firm in our anchoring of the pelvic triangle before we reach back for the ankles, or of course gathering your strap. Imagine that there's a block between your thighs or something that you'd like to squeeze. Again, still anchoring down through the pubic bone and hip bones, yoga toes, shoulder heads anchor. And what is it like just breathing here? See if you can find a little bit of calm inside of the intensity. Are there little areas that you can allow breath to fill? If we get kind of nervous or greedy and we just try and suck in a bunch of breath, our container is tighter and it's not as receptive. And this is a challenging shape to breathe into. So I'm asking us to see if with a kind of soft curiosity we can seduce new spaces for breath here. And if appropriate in your body, on your next inhale, press the ankles back into the hands and allow the heart to peel away from the floor. So I usually recommend keeping the neck long here. If people try to reach through the chin, they end up getting a really compressed spine in this position, and so I don't recommend it. Deep breath until you're done, and then either releasing to your belly again, or if you'd like child's pose, which can be marvelous for our low back after that, a nice opposite shape. Take time and notice your heartbeat. Notice perhaps how your energy is different than when we started our practice. And we're not quite finished here. I've got a breath or pranayama practice to share today that is a wonderful energy shifter. You know, we were talking about energy management and repetitive stress of the body, but I think we also experience repetitive stress of the mind when we're worrying about things and we're trying to solve things, when we find ourselves frequently saying, I don't know, blah, 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 and I don't know, blah, blah, and I don't know, blah, blah. I find that there's almost a cumulative stress on our mind from that kind of activity. And so Kapalabhati, which basically means skull shining or skull polishing breath, is a wonderful antidote or therapy for that. And it can be done standing or sitting. Generally, it's done seated, and I will ultimately join you in a seated position. We're going to do a few rounds. I did go over this and broke this down in a little more detail in Monday's class this week, but I want to start off standing so that you can, if this is new to you or you're confused, be able to kind of see my body better. So when I say we're going to do a few rounds, basically we do one round of just in and out with the belly, and I'll explain that. And then we take a long inhale and we exhale, fold, we empty the breath, and we come back up to seated and we end up holding a breath lock, external breath lock.
and then we do an internal breath block. That's one round. And then, so we'll do 3 of those total, and I will guide you more slowly when we're actually doing them. But if you get, lightheaded, if you've got, blood pressure stuff going on, high blood pressure, any issues, any pressure, you just feel lightheaded or funky, just stop, okay? Or just do it much less vigorously, okay? Otherwise, in Kapalabhati, we are inhaling as slowly as we need to in order to get a full intake of breath. You might be able to do it very actively and fast, or it might be a slow and kind of steady. Totally up to you. You're welcome to play with the pacing. The inhale through the nose and then the exhale through the nose, but with a rapid expulsion, like so. Okay, so we're going to do 3 rounds. As I mentioned, I'm going to do the first round standing, and then I'll join you in seated. Please make sure that you're somewhere comfortable, whether it's on a bolster or an ottoman or kitchen chair. Okay, so when you're ready, your first inhale, really check that the belly is expanding towards the wall in front of you, or your hand if you've got it there as a reference point. And on the exhale, it should move away. Please continue inhaling and exhaling. Continuing a few more. Notice if your thoughts are active or random, just bring them right to your breath and body. Couple more, in and out, and then inhaling, long breath, sweeping up. Exhaling, fold, emptying through the mouth. Hold the breath out as you come upright, seated or standing, holding out. You might connect the tip of the tongue at the roof of the mouth, holding the breath out. Notice sensation, notice pressure, soften around it. And then when appropriate, inhale and hold in, internal breath lock. Again, keep softening around the pressure, tension as long as you can, and then when you need to release, let it softly go. So notice please what the effects of Kapalabhati have been so far with just that one round. This is a really fun breath to get intimate with because this is something that you could do daily. If you're trying to adjust what's happening in your body and your mood and so on, Kapalabhati breathing is a great quick go-to to kind of just come into your body and shift whatever's going. Generally, I feel like it's energizing, but it's again also sort of clarifying or calming in the sense that it tends to just sort of sweep the surface of the mind, which can become pretty cluttered, and it can cost us a lot of our just joyful life force, our being present momentness. So when you're ready, please join me in another round, gathering a long inhale and begin. And then a long inhale, slow, deep and wide. Exhale, fold and empty. Hold out, return upright, holding out. Soften around the holding. Become spacious, become relaxed. When appropriate, inhale and hold in, internal breath lock. Again, please notice the effects of your Kapalabhati. We're going to do one more round, and I want to invite you in this round to add a little intention if you'd like, and that is that, first of all, I'm just going to start our music to bring us a little support in this last round. But the intention would be that when you are holding out, that you're creating fertile soil, right? Like a freshly tilled field or garden bed inside. You're allowing it to become receptive space. And then on the inhale, if you can, guide your attention from the center of the earth, if you'd like, with your breath, bring it up the spine and to your third eye point. So I always cross my eyes kind of up and in at that point. And this we consider your place of insight and intention. So if you are wanting to fertilize a thought, an intention, a goal, a hope, a prayer for the divine, this would be a lovely way to do that. So you're creating all this pulsing with your powerful breath. You're creating receptive space by holding out. And then you are fertilizing, if you will, that thought, intention, and holding in, and then a soft release. When you're ready, please close the eyes, find that long spine, and begin your final round of Kapalabhati. Notice if your abdominal muscles are becoming a little fatigued. See if you can continue. Again, this is your determination to clarify, cleanse your space. Continuing a few more, you can change the rhythm if you'd like. A few more, and then when you are ready, inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold, empty, hold out, external kumbhaka, return to seated holding out. Receptive space. Asking, can I soften around this? Is there more? When appropriate, inhale, drawing your attention and energy all the way up the spine to your third eye point, turning the gaze up and in, holding in. Holding as long as you can do so without it creating its own tension, its own response. And then when you're ready, let it go and notice what you've created. How does your body feel? Your breath, your being. If you're feeling wonderfully centered and you want to just continue with a seated meditation, please do. Otherwise, find your resting pose. It might be on your back in corpse pose or child's pose, and so on. Turn your gaze up and in. Give your body to gravity. And once again, begin to watch the breath, finding the active breath. Inhale and exhale, and the pause, the gap, the treasure between. to let your body tell you how long of a Shavasana would be just right today. I know we have a tendency to shorten Shavasana or skip it all together, especially if we're doing yoga by ourselves. So this becomes a pivotal moment in time with self, where we either listen to the body and being that's saying, oh, this feels really good, to just give into gravity and settle with the earth. Or we let the stirrings of the mind intrude and rush us off somewhere. I'm going to close with the bowl and our 3 ohms. Happy to have you join in. It's a wonderful vibrational massage for your own body. You're also welcome to just be in quiet and stay deep and let the resonance work on you. Nice long inhale. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Peace in your heart, peace in your body, peace in your mind, peace in your life. I hope you'll share the gifts of your yoga practice with someone else, maybe just by a slow hold of their gaze and say, I love you. I love you all. I'm so grateful for your presence here with me on the mat. Happy spring. Namaste.